What is up, babes? Thanks for tuning in to the Year I Made It podcast. My name is Madison, and I'm your host of this episode and this podcast. I am so excited to share with you guys on this episode this relatively new concept that I have learned around realizing that you can choose your thoughts. What a concept. Up until probably a year or two ago, I had no idea that I had the option to choose my thoughts. I just thought thoughts were these wild things that popped into my head, and just whatever popped into my head was there. I didn't know that I could really accept and reject thoughts real time as they were coming into my mind, as they were coming in to how I acted upon my thoughts. I didn't realize I could reject thoughts. I didn't realize I could say that I didn't agree with a thought or a thought didn't make sense. I didn't know any of those things. And so I have recently learned this through, I would say, I started hearing about it first probably through listening to Joyce Meyer. And she talks about how you have the ability to reject thoughts, about how the devil uses your mind to attack your faith a lot of times, how he uses your thoughts to just attack your faith and your thought life and your mental health. And I've also learned this a lot lately through AA. And so there is a piece in AA where they're really always talking about how you're not responsible for the first thought, but you are responsible for the second, third, and fourth thought. So if something pops into your mind, that means you don't have to shame yourself for having a negative thought, but you do have the option to say that thought is not true, not nice, not right, not what I should do, not what I should act on. You can change that thought. You can reject that thought, especially when it comes to self-talk, negative self-talk, mental health, all of those sorts of things. And so that's definitely an area that I've really been trying to learn to really reframe my thinking is through my self-talk and through my mental health. And so a lot of this looks like that if I do something dumb, like old me would have been like, oh my God, Madison, you're such an idiot. Why did you do that? And new me might start to say that and will immediately reframe and be like, man, wasn't the best decision we've made. Definitely not the worst. We'll learn from this one. We'll do better next time. And then I move on. And so this has resonated a lot in really just self-talk and the way I talk to myself and the way I talk about myself, the way I think about myself, and learning that if you don't talk and think well of yourself, you certainly can't expect others to. So, a big way that I see this transpire for me is within anxiety and within spiraled thinking. And so, for me, that looks like I have a conversation with somebody and I'm like, that conversation went like differently than I expected. Like maybe I did something that like bothered them. And then later I text them about something and they reply in a way where I'm like, oh my gosh, that's not how they would normally reply. They're definitely mad at me. But really, they were never mad at me and they never thought about that thing ever again. And I just made up this entire scenario in my mind based on how I thought somebody else was acting that really had nothing to do with me. And so instead, like in that situation, I'll just remind myself, like, hey, that person's not upset with you. If they are, they'll tell you. And if they're passive aggressive and not going to tell you, then that's probably not your people, anyways. And so, definitely through anxiety and through spiraled thinking is a way that I have realized that whenever I start to get the negative thinking spirals, I'm doing a lot better about identifying them and being able to say, like, oh, this is anxiety. We're having anxiety. We're having a negative thinking spiral. Let's think about how much of this is real, how much of this is a real problem, how much of this is actually happening, how much of it is scenarios that might happen that I made up in my own mind, and then how do I differentiate kind of all those different areas. And so for me, this has really helped me to be able to identify and stop a lot of the spiraled thinking and to be able to choose my thoughts a lot more. So a way that this resonates with me a lot is I always like joke to my therapist that what is so fucked up about anxiety is that all the things that I worry about, they never happen. Like all the dumb shit that I worry about that I'm like, oh my God, what if this thing happens and then this thing happens? It never happens. But you want to know it does happen? Something that I never could have predicted in left field, that happens. And so that's also what I try to remind myself a lot of times when I'm having negative thinking, spiral thinking, like trying to choose my thoughts, is that if it is a challenge, I'll be able to deal with it then. But right now, it's not really a challenge, and I've always been able to overcome all the challenges that have come my way, and I don't need to waste my time worrying about the ones that might come to fruition. Another way that I've been working on changing my thinking is thinking, what is the best thing that could happen? And so instead of being like, oh my gosh, what if this happens and this happens and this happens? I instead, when I catch myself, I just immediately say, okay, Madison, what's the best thing that could happen? And then I start thinking about all the possibilities that are the best things that could happen, or just good possibilities of things that could happen. Another thing that I love to do that goes along with this is Joyce Meyer does this thing where she always talks about how you should wake up and just say something good is going to happen to me today. So I've been doing a lot of that, just a lot of positivity, a lot of affirmations, a lot of just speaking positivity into existence. And so for me, this has looked like doing a lot of devotionals and affirmations. So every morning when I wake up, I do like a meditation or like a little prayer time, read my daily devotional, read the Bible, and then I listen to Joyce Meyer's podcast, and then I like to do affirmations while I'm getting ready. And so literally you can just go to YouTube and type in affirmations and just do whatever ones you like. And so I think affirmations are a really cool way to help you reset your mind, help you reset and reframe having positive self-talk, having self-love, and just having a little bit more appreciation for yourself. So I wanted to really close by talking about maybe the more challenging time for me to choose that it's going to be a good day and to choose the good thoughts. And so for me, a lot of times this has been the morning. So for me, I am the kind of person that a lot of times my anxiety is worse in the morning. And so I know that a lot of times whenever I wake up, I need to do my morning routine, I need to do my meditation, I need to do my devotionals in order to have a good mindset and to be prepared for the day. But then in addition to that, I also need to do my affirmations. I need to plan for it to be a good day. I need to visualize it being a good day before I go to sleep. I have been reading this book called The Gap and the Gain. Really cool book if you are like a high achiever, goal setting person, like you always have like a new goal and they just never end. Good, really good perspective book. But within this book, I have been trying to adapt this concept that it talks about where you, at the end of the day, you're grateful for your 3 biggest wins of that day, and then you think about what your wins for the next day are going to be, and then you visualize yourself getting those wins for the next day. And these could be small wins, like haven't been to the gym in a week and I took my booty to the gym and I kicked ass at that workout. It could be I hired somebody who was a really important member of our team, and literally everything in between. So this is a new thing that I actually just been reading the book this past weekend. So something new that I'm trying to incorporate into my routine as well, but love the concept, love the idea. And he talks a lot about how important it is to have a positive mindset before you go to bed and when you first wake up. And that has resonated with me so much, is really just focusing on positive mindset, visualizing my day for success before I go to sleep, and then waking up, having a positive mindset, and then being able to put all the pieces together to start my day. So thank you guys so much for tuning in for this episode. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this episode on realizing that you can choose your thoughts. Brand new concept, knew nothing about it until within the past couple years, but it has been really life-changing for me to realize I can choose my thoughts, I can choose what thoughts I accept, I can reject thoughts, and most importantly to know that I'm not responsible for the first thought, but I am responsible for the second, third, fourth thoughts and what I do with those thoughts, how I act on them, and how I treat people because of them. So hopefully this was a insightful episode for you guys. If you're watching on YouTube, I have switched from the winter slippers to the summer slippers, if you will. So don't have the cheetah ones on, they make my feet sweat too much. So now I've switched to these babies from Target. They are $20 at Target though, so subtle plug there for my Target lovers. Either way, thanks for tuning in, babes. If you want to share the concept of being able to choose your thoughts with somebody who you think would benefit, share, comment, like, subscribe, do all the things. Thanks for the support as always, and happy healing, babes.